sort, which he's going to go over that involves young Vincent.
I have no idea exactly what he's going to say. I only understand it involves burying me deep beneath the earth for several minutes at a time.
Which is fine with me. And I've also given Vince an ultimatum, and that is that I'm no longer going to boost his levels on this show. So if he does not speak into the microphone and it's very quiet, everybody is welcome to just yell at him the next day on the forum for not talking loud enough. He is a former pro wrestler, so there's no reason for him to be so quiet. So, as usual, we'll start out, Vincent, with any thoughts you may have on SummerSlam.
I have a lot of thoughts. I thought it was a hell of a show, first of all. A show that probably I would actually like better in hindsight, for reasons we'll get to shortly. I think there are 2 4-star matches, and overall probably the stiffest WWE show I've seen in a long, long time.
Well, we should have a lot of fun discussing this one then. If you saw 2 4-star matches. Well, I think we're thinking of 2 different 4-star matches, but the opener was Chris Benoit beating Orlando Jordan to win the U.S. title in a match that went about 10 seconds. Benoit came in and Orlando gave him this cheap shot, and Benoit got very angry and beat the piss out of him, gave him one big German, put him in the crossface, and Orlando Jordan tapped out. So there's a new U.S. champion, and we can all forget who Orlando Jordan is now.
That's not one of the 4-star matches I was talking about, but in hindsight, maybe it should have been.
It was a good opener, and we got rid of Orlando, so I'm all cool with that.
The crowd in Craig's living room popped like they have not done since Maven eliminated The Undertaker from the Royal Rumble.
Which was funny because I didn't think that was much of a big deal, but everybody else did. You guys really enjoyed that for some reason.
What, the Maven thing?
Yeah.
I remember everyone jumping up and down and screaming, and I turned around and looked at you. We just stared at each other like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, so... But, there was your opener. Then we had the... and the one thing about this show also was the match order was very odd because Benoit and Orlando for the title opened the show, which I guess you could say that's not the best thing for the U.S. title, but until this past Thursday, there wasn't even a U.S. title bout on the card. So the second match was the long-awaited and long built-up Edge and Matt Hardy match. So all that build and everything, and here was a match taking place second on the card, and it was very odd. They came out, and as pretty much everybody expected, they beat the holy living piss out of each other. They were hitting each other so hard. These hard shots to the back, these hard shots to the face. And then, after about 4 minutes, Matt got dropped on the post face first and was bleeding. And about 4 minutes into the match, the ref stopped it because Edge had beaten Matt Hardy so thoroughly that the ref could not allow this to continue. Just think about this for a little while. 8 months of build, 8 months of whatever. I guess you could call it build. It was only really built for a month since Matt Hardy wasn't under contract the whole time. But all of that led to the big, stiff fight, and Matt Hardy was beaten thoroughly and unmercifully, and the match was stopped. And I should also note that if Matt Hardy was not buried far enough underground during this match, and when it was over, I thought that no man had ever been buried this deeply in any match. At the end of the show, Hulk Hogan bled twice as much,
Yes.
and they didn't bother to stop that one. So Matt Hardy may as well just quit and go to TNA because he's fucked.
Yeah. What I've seen done with this man over the past 15 days, from him being in Vince McMahon's limo, to wrestling a bad match with Gene Snitsky for free on Raw, to being buried deep beneath the earth live on pay-per-view, is historical.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's a precedent for this.
Well, nobody should have really expected any different. As soon as he agreed to return, he was fucked, to be honest with you. And, so
Yeah.
I guess that's the end of Matt Hardy.
It is the end of Matt Hardy, and it was almost the end of the show because I was so into this, and they were beating the hell out of each other, and the crowd was loving it, and I was thinking, my God, they did everything they could to screw this up, and they're going to get lucky, and it's still going to get over, and then the end happened.
Yeah.
And I was so bummed. I could barely pay attention to the next match, and it took me a long time to get out of this funk.
And the next match just happened to be Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero in a ladder match for the custody of young Dominic. And it was... I watched it and I can't remember what I wrote. It was something along the lines of they're either trying to have the best match on the show or they're trying to die in style or something of that nature. This was just a crazy, wacky little dealia bob here. bunch of scary, terrifying spots. The most terrifying of all probably was when the ladder was set up in the middle of the ring, and they leaned a second ladder up against the first one, and what happened?
There was a backdrop.
There was a backdrop. That's right.
Both ladders and both men came tumbling down from the sky.
Well, Ray backdropped Eddie onto the ladder, so Eddie crashed and burned and broke his back. And then, to make matters worse, the entire contraption collapsed, and Ray, with his bad wheel, fell into the pile. And I thought he blew out his knee, and it was a very scary thing. And then later, they did another one where Eddie was hanging from the hook above the ring, and Ray decided to grab his foot and pull him. So Eddie fell, and the only thing he had to break his fall was his one leg. And for those of you that have never wrestled or done any sort of athletic endeavor, it's usually not a good thing to drop from 8 feet up in the air onto one leg. And it appeared that Eddie blew out his knee, and if he didn't, he did a hell of a sell job. And
that's one word for it.
I thought he was doomed. And Dominic interfered, and Eddie's wife came down, and the finish was his wife not allowing him to win. So Ray won. The feud is over. Eddie didn't win one single match in the entire feud. And the young Dominic is back with his, I can't say real father, his fake father. And this feud is over. I would say forever, but for at least 6 months.
Yeah, as I said, I was still flabbergasted by what had happened to Matt, so I couldn't pay much attention to this as a match. All I know is every time I looked up, someone was dying. Right after Eddie landed on his knee, he snapped and just started cursing Ray out as loud as he could. If you ever want to hear Eddie Guerrero ask Ray what the fuck he was thinking, this is the show for you.
Yeah, I don't know why he grabbed his leg, to be honest with you, but it was very dumb.
Something went wrong, obviously. There's your sparkling observation for the day. And yeah, Dominic got involved, and Eddie's wife, and at the end, Ray's wife also came out.
I think my phone's about to ring.
Picked up static from Brian's cell phone.
I can feel my phone about to go off here.
He's using the force.
And, of course, it didn't. Then we had Kurt Angle versus Eugene in the, 10-minute Angle challenge. It did not go nearly as long, but the crowd hated young Eugene, which was fine with me because I hated him too, actually. This is not Nick Dinsmore. This is Eugene, the comic goof. And he came out and did a bunch of wacky, goofy stuff. And, of course, Kurt Angle beat him unmercifully and totally and left him for dead and got the submission. He didn't even have to scissor his leg on the ankle lock. He just put him in the ankle lock and beat him, and he was dead. So it's the end of young Eugene. So Kurt Angle will now go on to get a title shot, and all will be good in the world. And John Cena is lucky because he has someone else to have another great match with him.
Yeah, you pretty much covered the match itself. Nothing else to say there. At the end, Kurt brought a chair into the ring, stood on it, and demanded they play his music again as the referee placed the medal back around his neck. And the crowd went crazy and was happy, and everyone was filled with love and joy.
Yeah, it was great. Then we had, I need to check my audio here, Vince. I turned it down because you're very quiet, but that may not work. Yeah, fuck it. There, you're on your own again. Then we had, I was trying to do this for you, but I gave up. Then we had Undertaker and Randy Orton. I have nothing to say about this match. I ignored as much of it as possible. It bored me. They worked hard, but that's all I can say about it. I don't care about Randy Orton. I don't care about The Undertaker. I don't care about this feud. And if you have anything to say about it, knock yourself out, but I'm done.
All right. Well, it was almost exactly the same as the Mania match. It was every Undertaker match you've ever seen, which is not terrible, but dull. And, Cowboy Bob Orton came in disguise as a confused fan to distract The Undertaker. And then Randy hit the RKO and got the pin, and moving on to Big Dave.
Actually, I do have something else to say about this match. They put Cowboy Bob Orton in this goofy outfit and a hat and glasses, I believe. So
and latex makeup.
Thank you for ruining the whole speech I was about to give, Vince, but I'll just forget you said anything. So anyway, Cowboy Bob Orton came out, and they put him in a hat, and they put him in glasses, and they put him in a goofy outfit. And they were so concerned that in this outfit, fans might recognize Bob Orton, that they also dressed him up in a latex mask, which he ripped off afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I would like you to hang your head in shame, Vince. Jesus. We'll just forget that whole situation there. Then we had John Cena versus Kurt Angle for the title, which
this was awesome.
Yes, Chris Jericho Chris Jericho got a bunch of, he requested some tapes of John Cena's best matches so that he could find out how to carry him. This is true. And unfortunately, John Cena's only had great matches with approximately one man. And you know who that man is. But Chris Jericho did his homework because he had a hell of a match with this goofball. And it was good. And, of course, he lost in the end. But, you can add him to the very short list of men that have had a great match with John Cena.
I thought this match was awesome. The crowd was split, so you had the TNA thing of "Let's go Cena, let's go Jericho" going. Except instead of 800 people, it was however many thousand people.
At least 3,000 in the building.
Yeah, and there was also a decided difference in the pitch of these chants because the children were all chanting for Cena and the grown-ups were all chanting for Jericho, and
being pricks about it.
Yeah.
Don't just let the children have fun. We'll show you.
Yeah. And, the children got their way in the end.
Yeah, they did. Their hero won. So, yeah, Cena retained the title. Then we had Batista versus JBL in the other one, and it was no holds barred, I guess, so they could have gimmicks. But unfortunately, Shawn Michaels needed all the gimmicks for the evening, so they weren't allowed all of them, and it was acceptable, but nothing great. It was at least better than last month. Big Dave gave him the power bomb but refused to pin him, and then gave him a power bomb on the steel steps, and JBL was killed. So my thoughts about perhaps JBL chasing for the title: it will not be him. He is out of the title picture, and Orlando's been buried as well. So God, you might as well just send him packing.
Nothing else to say. Moving on.
Then we had Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, which I think I predicted this would be the greatest match of Hulk Hogan's career, and Dave said they might get 3 stars. And going in, I thought that he was very much underestimating Shawn Michaels, but in the end, Dave was right. This was about a 3-star match. I think some people, including someone directly to my right, may have been fooled by the Shawn Michaels performance, which was a hell of a performance. I will say that. But the one thing that I sort of thought watching it was Shawn Michaels was bumping all over the place, and it was almost to the point where he was over bumping, like making it too obvious. Like he was almost just saying to everybody, you know what, look at what I have to do to try and get a good match out of this old fucker. And some of his bumps were obscenely absurd.
Remember the big boot?
That was good. But there was one where he got sent to the outside, and he took this great bump over the top, and then once he landed, he had to add an extra flip. And I thought, okay, somebody's sending some sort of message here. But he worked his ass off, and Hogan got very, very tired. So for much of this match, it was a total one-man show, and the other corpse was merely standing upright and being held up in a sleeper. But Hogan did the big Superman comeback, hit the leg drop, and then pinned him, and it was over. So Shawn shook his hand afterwards, and I guess he's back to being a babyface, so... yeah, there was your dream match, and it was good, but I think that some of the Hogan Savage matches, and maybe even Hogan Warrior...
Hogan Warrior 1.
Yes.
You should clarify.
I didn't think that needed any clarification whatsoever, but yeah, it was good.
I thought it was much better than you did. I thought just when Shawn went to ram Hulk's head in the turnbuckle and Hulk gave him the Hulk face, and then Shawn just slapped the piss out of him.
Yes, that was a good spot.
I was marking out for that. He slapped him a few other times. He was chopping the hell out of him the whole time. And I was into it. I was almost marking out. But
Shawn did everything he could, but Hulk Hogan is a 52-year-old man with a fake hip and no cardio. So
no cardio.
What can you do? But yeah, it was as good as you could have expected. I will say that.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I think that overall, very good show, much better than I expected. And now that we're through with the wrestling talk, Vince, you're